الطريق صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم.
This statement I seek before you this morning, Your Excellency, sir. You know.
And I was there. I did come here a couple of times with him. So I know what the change is. I was just telling Lagos State Governor 2 weeks ago, I said, when I became governor, the security was so bad. And then I went and requested, and they sent me a deputy commissioner of police, John Haruna, to my state. And I went to President Obasanjo, and I said, I want the commissioner of police in my state to leave immediately. Obasanjo said, I said, that man must leave. And I'm saying today, I don't want to see him again. Or you hear that the governor and police commissioner had an issue that you said, so what do you want? I said, I need a new commissioner. And he called the Hindu. And the Hindu came and he said, so what do you want? I said, I want John Haruna to be the commissioner. The Hindu said, no, I have several police commissioners in headquarters. And you're talking like that. The man is just been promoted to deputy commissioner of police. So if you want to change your police commissioner, Mr. President, I agree with you. I will change him, but I cannot put a new promoted deputy commissioner as a police commissioner. I said, Mr. President, I don't want to see any policeman in my state. Let John Haruna be the commissioner. A Hindu turned and said, he will not be, the only way he can be is that he will be acting. I said, call him anything you like. But I want him to head police in my state. That was how I solved that problem. He became acting commissioner. It was from my state that he was promoted to commissioner, promoted to AIG to DIG, and will remain close to the last. May his soul rest in peace for what he did in Anambra State. Your Excellency, I thank you sincerely for the warm reception, for you people that are here. Thank you, people. I feel greatly honored for this. Mine is to tell you what I think you know already. This morning, I got a call, he knew, from people in government saying, why did you grant this interview, Peter? Where I said Nigeria is a failed state. And I said, go and read the 2 ingredients of a failed state. When a country is no longer in control of its territory. That is number 1. Number 2 is when you're no longer in control of your economy. So I said, you're in government, why are you calling me? Are we in control of this too? If we are, then my statement is wrong. If we are not, can we admit what is right? The only thing you do in this country, I want you to listen to me. The only thing you do in this country now is that you wake up every day with bad news. No longer good news. What you wake up every day is killing, kidnapping, one bad news or the other. It's 55 years today in Chaff. It's like that all over. Nobody is safe to move around. I've been going around the north now, and I'm flying about. Places I used to go by road. You can't. You can't even go from Abuja to Kaduna today. You can't go from Abuja to Jos. You can't go from Abuja to Mina. You can't even fly to Kaduna, can't even go by train. This is our country today. And the same thing is happening all over. And everybody is asking why? Why? How did we get here? It is for us to admit the truth. It is cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years. Some of these people we think especially within us, that are causing this problem are young men and women we refused to invest in yesterday. So they've grown up, Mr. Governor, and are taking revenge on us. You have a country with 100 million people living in poverty. There's no way you have peace. There's no way you have this level of criminality. Nigeria have more people living in poverty, as all of you know, than the two most populous countries combined. India and China is 2.8 billion. But Nigeria have more people living in poverty than two of them combined. And this is a crisis we face as a country. We have about 15 million out of school children, so you can go home and sleep. Today we have unemployment of 35%, the highest, you can imagine. Combined with underemployment, about 55%, out of which 60 to 70% of them are young people in their productive age doing nothing. Parents now pay for their children to go to school, graduate, and come home to be fed and looked after by their parents because they have no means of livelihood. So nothing is working. Nigerians who are working today spend over 100% of their income in feeding for those who can afford to still buy food. So Nigerians become beggars. The list is endless. Our misery index have worsened. Our stress index have worsened. We have overtaken India in areas that nobody can believe, even though they are projected. And it's getting worse every day. Worse even, my dear brother, is a situation where the debt we have today in this country cannot be paid. All we do is borrow money every day. And when you ask, they say they are borrowing for capital projects. And I asked for the capital projects. I was in Bauchi yesterday. And when I finished, I said to them, I want to go to the tomb of Tafa Balewa. And they said, why? I said, when I get there, I just want to go and pray there and go home. And they said, why did I go? I said, under him, Nigeria borrowed the first money they borrowed. 1964, September 1964. Your Excellency, go and read the letter he wrote to World Bank, asking for $82 million to build Kaiji Dam to provide 760 megawatts of electricity. And he wrote it clear. I'm applying for this loan strictly to borrow for this investment to spur growth, economic growth for my country. That was 58 years ago. That facility is still standing. What he borrowed is $82 million. We now owe $120 billion without anything to show for it because we consumed it. It was for consumption. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. Every country of the world borrows. No country. Every country of the world borrows. America is the biggest economy. They are owing over 100% of their GDP. The second biggest economy is China. They are owing about 60% of their GDP. The third one is Japan. Japan is owing 230% of their GDP. It can go on and show you. Even Netherlands, that had the highest sovereign wealth fund of 1.4 trillion, Your Excellency, is owing 50% of their GDP. So everybody borrows. The difference is what you use the borrowing to do. Where did you invest it? What did you create? Our own was for consumption. People are borrowing for investment. And I've gone from countries to countries everywhere to show that this is happening. China borrowed in 1990, 93% to 95% of Chinese people live under poverty. Today, it's less than 2%. India was a similar situation, under 5%. Vietnam was actually 96%. Today, they have less than 3%. So, ours that we have been throwing people out of poverty. And just to illustrate to you why borrowing is different here and other countries. I was in Bangladesh in 2010. I've studied 31 countries, comparing them with Nigeria. In Bangladesh in 2010, Your Excellency, they had a GDP of $115 billion with a per capita of $747 per capita, and their debt was $45 billion, 36% of their GDP in 2010. Nigeria, as at then, had a GDP of $375 billion, per capita of $2,250. So we are 3 times Vietnam in terms of per capita, which is a real measure of wealth. And our debt then was $30 billion, less than 10% of our GDP. Today, Vietnam GDP is $340 billion. They've grown by 3 times. Their per capita is $2,050. They've grown by 10 times. Their debt also increased to about $116 billion, which remains even less than 36%, because it's now about 32% of their GDP, which means they borrowed more, they invested it. If you go to Vietnam today, the exports, their overseas diaspora fund, everything have increased. Today, Vietnam exports garments, $36 billion, twice what we earn from oil. Garments, they're not just garments. That's what they export. Not something that is sophisticated. And all small businesses, which we're not doing here. And in our own situation, our GDP today is about $400 billion. Our per capita, which is a real measure of wealth, is now 1,980, call it 2,000. So we've actually lost about 11% of what we were in 2010. And our debt has gone from $30 billion to $120 billion. So we borrowed about $100 billion, which nobody can explain what was invested. And when, as they say, it's for capital project. If you borrow money and it didn't impact on your GDP, it didn't impact on your capital, you consumed it. That is the crisis we face as a nation. The consequence is that our debt servicing now is over 90% of our income. In 2001, first 5 months of 2001, Your Excellency, Nigeria as a country made $1,847 billion naira. We use $1,802 to service debts. 98%, only 45 remaining for a country of 200 million people. And we're borrowing more. We said last year our budget was 13.5 trillion. We are going to borrow only 5 trillion. We borrowed 7. This year, our budget plus subsidy and everything will be hitting about 20. They said they are going to borrow only about 6. Your Excellency, we're not going to borrow less than 10. And that is the crisis of us. And what are we even borrowing? With these monies, we are now issuing foreign bonds of 2040, 2045, 26, when we are no longer going to be here. And our children, in the past 1 year, Nigeria has not put 1 naira in the sinking fund. Not 1 naira. So even when you are servicing debt, you're supposed to be saving money to pay the debt. When it matures, we are not putting money there. The crisis is that when we are dead, our children will have nowhere because we've eaten their future. And nobody is talking about that. And we need to move this country in. And there's nothing wrong in this country. It's a country that can be changed. Look at something like Taraba. Look at what is happening all over the world. Today, we are struggling with oil, sharing of oil money. Who is doing that? Even in America, that is the biggest country in the world. Texas, that is producing several more oil than we are producing. They're not the biggest state in America. The biggest state in America is California. And what does California do? Texas is not even number 1. They're not number 2. They're number 3. Texas GDP today is 3.4 trillion. 8 times Nigerian GDP. They have no oil. What they're exporting is agriculture and knowledge. Agricultural materials and knowledge. That's all that is making them that thick. Well, we are here fighting over a diminishing access that has since expired. Oil didn't save yet Venezuela. Venezuela have 10 times more oil than Nigerian deposits, and yet they collapsed. And we're here fighting about oil. No country is talking about oil today. Vietnam, countries and nations have ever. Look at the vast land I saw when we are alive here today. I told the people in Niger, you have 76.3 square kilometers of land in Niger State. Your Excellency, they can't feed themselves. They can't feed Nigeria. They don't export anything. Netherlands, with 33,000 square kilometers of land, if you minus water, exported last year a total of $120 billion worth of agricultural products, which is 8 times what we earn from oil. In fact, take Taraba State, for example, where we have Mambila, with all the vegetation that is there that you can use effectively. The land exported flour, $5 billion. Flour that you can get for free here. We can easily. We don't even need to go far. Kenya exported about nearly $500 million worth of flour. Kenya. So let's not go to Netherlands and say it's first world, but Kenya here. Kenyan people that pick flowers are paid $100 a month, 60,000 naira. A minimum wage start just for picking flower. That's all they do in Kenya. I went and saw what they're doing. That we can do here with effortless ease. We can grow coffee here. Today, everybody knows Vietnam owns, I don't want to call first world, because if I call Brazil now, they've gone where the second world, but Vietnam earns about 4 to 5 billion from coffee. From coffee. Ethiopia earned last year $905 million from coffee. Ethiopia. Then we can grow coffee here. Is it tea? Is it tea? Sierra Leone can earn $1.4 billion from tea. You can grow it here. So what is wrong with us? It's just us investing money and focusing on what we can do. And the list is endless. Your Excellency, what we can do. People say every day, what are we going to do to fight crime? Fighting crime is very easy. You do 2 things to fight crime. Number one thing that is causing crime in Nigeria is poverty. You might like it, you might say no or yes. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. You can't have millions of people who don't know where the next meal will come from, and you think there won't be problem. There will be problem. It's a natural way of pulling people. It's happened in Brazil, in Mexico, in Colombia, everywhere. They've used pulling people out in China, in Vietnam, in Indonesia. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce your criminality. The other one is natural. When you deal with the natural one, because people have means of livelihood, you deal with support to your security agencies, which is renewable every year. And with this, you generate more money. Every day, Your Excellency, we say in this country, and we don't have revenue. We don't have revenue. Even if our government said the revenue to GDP is too low, it has to be low. Because you have millions of people who are not doing anything. The more your people are doing something, the more your economy is productive, the more revenue you generate. You can't generate revenue from people who are not doing anything. It's a simple thing. It's been done everywhere in the world, and it's very easy, Your Excellency. It's not a question. If you go, and where do you generate the most revenue? In your youth, the young ones, in their productive age. You have to invest in them, and what do they need? They need access to capital and training. They have the idea. They can change the world. It's not a sophisticated thing. Nigerian youths are talented. All they need is support. And it has to be government-determined support. It's happening in China. If you go to Indonesia, they have a particular number of their loans that go to small businesses. What changes the country is small corporations. Nothing by saying it the way we are saying it here. There's no money. They'll tell you, oh, every day you have government support to small businesses. It's not true. The only way you will know it's not true is that go and check the total lending of all the banks. I've shared 2 banks. It's about 30 trillion. Out of which less than 5% go to small businesses. It cannot happen. Indonesia is written. 25% of all their loans go to small businesses. China is 20. They just increased it to 30. The consequence is that if you go to these 2 countries, if you go to Indonesia, 98% of the companies are small businesses. In fact, Indonesia, a country of about 250 million persons, their total employment is 140. Small businesses created 130 million jobs. Only 10 million is created by other people. In Indonesia, they even have Ministry of Small Businesses to support it. In China, as China is, China today, all their productivity, all their GDP is about 60-65% for small businesses. The total employment in China is 800 million. Small businesses provide 60% of that, which is 540 million. So you must support this engine. It is critical. We're not doing that. What we are doing here is celebration, sharing. Nigeria, the only thing Nigeria has is sharing formula. Nobody talks anything. All that I came to ask you people is that we need to move this country from sharing formula to production formula. It cannot continue. We must move from consumption to creating wealth. Other countries have done it for the future of our children. It is critical. It is not something anybody can tell. They can tell you, oh, it's sophisticated. No. I've gone from one country to the other, studying. I just came back from Morocco recently, not up to a month ago. Morocco exported last year 40-something billion worth of exports. Not oil. Agricultural products, 8 billion. Morocco. Vehicles, car manufacturing, 10 billion. I can go on. Tourism, 3-point-something billion. That's what they had last year in Morocco. Morocco is just here. So it's not as if this thing, you ask about power generation. This is the only country where to switch on your light, everybody knows how much power is being produced. Everybody knows whether the national grid has failed or whether every other country just put light on and off. Here you must know everything. You must even be calling from government house, you're calling the people who are in charge of the power company. No other country does that. Egypt borrowed only 6 billion euros, call it 10 billion naira. And within 2015 and today, Egypt have doubled their power generation from 26,000 megawatts to 54,000 megawatts. Egypt, they're not far. You go to, so we are number 1 biggest economy in Africa. We generate 4,000 megawatts. If we were able to get it. Number 2 biggest economy is South Africa. They generate 54,000. Egypt is number 3. It generates between 54 and 55. But the giant generates 4. That's the crisis. And they give you all sorts of excuse. Yesterday, there's nothing in power generation. There's nothing in power distribution. It's very easy. Anybody who tells you any story is this. Excellency, let me conclude because he's introduced me. I was governor of a state. My dear people, today God has given you position where you are in authority, where you are delegates. You won't be there forever. Your Excellency is the governor. He will not be governor forever. I tell people that when I was in office. His greatest achievement, you might not know, is not in building infrastructure. And I tell people that is in ensuring the civility and order and peace in the state. He's going to leave office and go to his house and stay because he has not surrounded himself with enemies. When you're in this post, it's a very difficult post. I've heard it. Because everybody you meet will tell you are doing well. Hardly will anybody tell you you're doing well. They will tell you the truth when you leave. When you leave here, the announcement you'll be hearing, you'll be wondering whether it was these people who was announcing this. So what I tell people is that it is important that you know you're not going to be here forever. And make peace. Ensure that you do the right things as much as you can. I live in Onitsha today. I don't live any outside anywhere. I don't have a house anywhere outside Onitsha. That's where I live. I live with the people. So there's no more security. There's no more thing. Before you come to church or come to anywhere, 10 people will stand up for you to sit down. Today, if you come in, they say, don't mind him. Even if they like them to sit up, they say they will not do it. So it is important that you do the right things so that you still out of the 10 who used to stand up, 2 will still stand up. Because there's no other. The same thing goes to you in your different offices. It is important. When I used to go around everything, people would say this and that. I was governor of the state for 8 years. Very difficult. I quarreled with the elites. Because when you do the right things, you have elites as your enemies. I quarreled with all of them. I used to go to Abuja, and the president would say to me, your people are not happy with you. And I would say, Mr. President, I never promised happiness. I promised to shut down the cost of governance in order to fix school, in order to make things work. With that, we moved our education from number 26 to number 1. Because that's what I promised. Every senior prefect of secondary school had my phone number. I speak to them, but I don't speak to the elites because they are part of the confusion. And they will tell you everything. I used to go to Abuja where the president's wife would quarrel with me and said, you're the only governor without office of first lady. And I said to her, listen, my wife never campaigned. Nobody voted her. 2 of us are too close. Since we signed to be one in our marriage, he's part of me. So let us start. Because the same people who are following her as officer will tell you what is committed. So I said, let's have less confusion. She said that. So we shut down every cost in order to be able to function. And when I left, some people say, oh, how can you leave money? How can you do this? I said, well, it's their money. It belongs to them. I'm going, hand it over public, just to come in where he said now. The day I left office, I invited everybody. If you go to Access Bank, the day I left, I had $50 million, 12 billion naira. I had in Fidelity Bank, $56 million, 12 billion naira. And I had in Diamond Bank, $50 million, because I was saving in dollars and naira. I had $50 million, 12 billion naira. Handed it over to the incoming governor. This is my 8th year of living office. Anambra has not bought me pure water. Because I said, no pension, no gratuity, I'm going home. I don't want to be part of anything. I've gone home. All I'm asking you, when you want to vote as delegates, do not look at me. Do not look at people who come here. All of us will come here. Some will give you money. Some will, because they have plenty of it. Anybody who brings anything, please take it. Don't say no to them. The money belongs to you. Take it. But when you want to vote, put the picture of your children in front of you. And ask yourself, which society do I want these children to live? Because they might not be delegates. You are delegate. Your children, it's not inherited. It's not an inheritance. So they will inherit delegate. So, which society do I want them to live in? And cast your vote. We can't continue this way. Our nation cannot continue this way. The abuse is too much. And we can stop it. Let nobody tell you we cannot stop it. Even corruption that we shouted, we can't stop corruption. If the governor is not stealing, if his wife is not stealing, his children and relations are not stealing, you reduce it by 60%. I've been a governor. Like Your Excellency, everything that passes through here, he will approve. I've approved it. And I can say it. I know what people say behind him. If they're not telling him the truth, I'll tell him as okay, this job, amend. I have my colleagues, governors that are called few months before they left. I said, try to amend small before you leave here. One of the people I advised recently was my own governor. Even when I wasn't in good terms with him, I called his friend and said, tell your guy, you should be careful. He has created a whole enmity. If he does it wrongly and leave, you won't even believe. Because the place you live in the evening, you'll be wondering whether this is your phone is spoiled. Because for 100 phones a day, you won't even get one in 2 days. So you must be careful. The same thing for all of you today, commissioners and everything. House of Assemblymen, everybody is following you. When you leave office, you see how many times that phone will ring. If you call somebody, he will tell you that he's very busy. I see, are you still around? And you'll be wondering, this person that calls me every day. So it's something I've experienced. Let us go out there and stop this abuse. The society we abuse today, Your Excellency, will take its revenge on us, on our children, on our grandchildren. Your Excellency, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for God bless you.
Even what they left behind. And all those that are in the entourage of our brother, His Excellency Peter Obi, I welcome you to Taraba State. The nature's gift to the nation, and I always add, indeed. Indeed, the nature's gift to the nation. Well, we've just had about 45 minutes lecture from Oxford, from Cambridge, from Howard, all combined together. And I thought you should stand up and give an ovation of clap to His Excellency Peter Obi. You can sit down. Now you can see the difference of a wheat and chaff. Am I correct? Yes. You can see the difference of a wheat and chaff. And you can see the difference of those who can and those who can't. But let me be frank with you. I am not in a position to leave anything behind, sir. You are one of the real gems in Nigeria. The former governor was correct. He wasn't in good terms with his governor. But you know what shocked me? I prepared the Southeast Regional Development Plan some years ago, some 2-3 decades ago. So Southeast, I know it on the palm of my hand. I know Anambra very well. And so, when I met the governor who had just finished his tenure, I asked him, I said, my dear brother, I had been longing to thank you immensely. You did something remarkably well. God bless you. He said, my brother, what is that? I said, the international airport you built in Oka. I I said, I am exceedingly happy. He said, oh my God, I'm happy hearing it from you. Then I added, I said, where did you get the money? He said, Biko, now my former colleague left the money behind. I laughed. I said, he left it. He said, frankly speaking, he left money in foreign currency. It's the money I saw. I said, look, let me leave a legacy before we go. So, I'm not promising. I won't leave money. I'm owing them here. And I'll use the money well. Sir, my people in Taraba State, you have heard him. It's left for us to decide. Do we want a Nigeria of promise for our children? Or we want until we are kidnapped with our wives and kept in another place and be at the mercy of the kidnappers? All this is left for us to tell ourselves. I would rather that we will live in the very comfortable and live a full life as decent citizens in this country. We were in the office before coming here. He said, are you exporting coffee? Are you exporting tea? I said, look, sir, I have only tried it on tea. I wanted to do both, I couldn't yet. He said, you have all the resources to export tea, export coffee. And when I resume here, these are the two things in my mind. But we're only succeeding in one. Sir, let me tell you, I built the best greenhouse, but it's the same government that frustrated that greenhouse. For 2 years now, we have not, they even stopped the money that we are going to expand that greenhouse in the name of saying they are probing. What do you probe? Government money in government bank for government to give a supplier, and he hasn't done it. And you seize the money. These are all the frustration. What you are saying is for real. I'm just re-emphasizing. It's for real. We are feeling the pinch. Sometimes our people don't know the difficulty of being in this office. Sir, I appreciate the number of enemies you have. I'm sure my own will triple your own. Because when you want to stop ghost workers, I marched a lot of people. From head to toe, I was marching. Somebody said, be careful, you are going in the football field landing with dynamite. And sir, out of the ghost workers, the money I saved, I employed 3,000 rescue teachers. We are less than 18% in Wike, the worst in the northeast, the worst possibly in the north. We are now over 85%. The best in the north, and I don't know the number, maybe 1 or 2 in the country. But not without sweat, not without pains. It's just day before yesterday, some counselors came to me, about to leave, so one of them says, sir, I have something to say. I'm one of your rescue teachers. For 10 years, there was no school. We have a school, but no teachers. Because the bridge leading to Sente was not there. You came, you built it. After that, there was no teacher. All the NYC sent to Sente, they refused to come. I had to volunteer for 2 years plus. I was teaching. Then the rescue teachers come. Now we have 18 teachers in that school. Now the school is open. Just a day before yesterday, sir. But I have enemies. I'm hoping when I step down, I don't know, I will now hide because the bullets will be coming from all directions. So I will thank you and sincerely wish you the best. We will do the best from our part here because we know you are more than able and capable. We will make sure that Nigerians come to know the kind of person you are. Being in the same party, we already know you. We already know what you are made of. But this country will need to have a shift in leadership, so that we can harness the good things that we have. I like that your illustration about Netherlands. I like that comparison with Niger. It is a beautiful one. Very small country, having much more wealth than the largest black African country. A big elephant that cannot even produce anything for herself. We thank you for coming. We're very happy indeed. I thank you for getting the very able person in the name of Dr. Okupe Donyi. He's a very competent hand. I'm happy you are moving with him. I know that with that and the team, I have no fear you are in good hands, sir. And we will pray for you and all of you campaigning and the party itself. We should put our acts together and be bold to get a formidable team at the end of the day. PDP is the only party that will salvage Nigeria. I was in cabinet when the Minister of Finance then, they say AOB, she raised her hand and said, Mr. President, our oil is being reduced gradually from the imports from US. You have to make an emergency trip to 6 countries. The big countries that have population that don't have oil. And she started naming them. China, India. And you can't believe, within the next 6-7 weeks, President Goodluck Jonathan have gone around all those countries and came back. What we were losing from the import from US, we were gaining from the export from those countries. And we were leveraging and leveraging. Your knowledge of economics is by excellence. And unless you have the right people in the right seat who will analyze this situation apart from an economics like you, you're just giving us a world-class lecture here for free. If I knew you were coming to do this lecture, I would charge everybody here $100 each. I add to your campaign form. Thank you very much indeed. We wish you a safe journey to your destination and other places. And wish you eager to see you at the dinner. Thank you.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.